communication is so critical to the success of a company that having an open workspace where our accounting department can literally just look across the other side of the room and talk to our sales department about any questions that might arise with our vendor or our customer, because things get very complicated, especially with big contracts. And after 700 contracts that we've acquired, it gets very, very intricate, we put it that way. So I think that openness of the workspace is super important for communication.
Welcome to Grow Think Tank. This is the one and only place where you will get insight from the founders and the CEOs of the fastest growing privately held companies. I am the host. My name is Gene Hammett. I help leaders and their teams navigate the defining moments of their growth. Are you ready to grow?
Making work fun. When you have the kind of place that people enjoy to come to and they create the kind of relationships that are more than just work, you have something special because people begin to bond together. They connect. They really relate to each other in a different way than just on the work. So we have all of these fun things inside of organizations. Maybe we have bean bags floating around, pool tables, ping pong tables. Are those things necessary? Well, some of those things are fun to have around. They're a fun environment for the culture, but they're not necessary. But spending time together, maybe offsite, maybe doing something, a barbecue, doing something else outside the office actually can bond relationships. Studies have shown that this has a huge impact on the productivity and also the ability to collaborate together. So I wanted to find a company that is doing this really well. So I found Adham Yusupov, the CEO of EMG, it's Ecology Mir Group. I had to look at my notes for a second. They were number 42 on the Inc. list in 2018. They grew at over 6,000%, and they've continued to grow since that ranking came out last year. Now, I share this with you because Adham talks about the importance of making fun together, having fun with your employees, and what that means overall to the business. They've had a very serious mission that they're working on, and everyone has to do their job immaculately. And so when they actually do have time to decompress together, it actually makes a difference. So we're going to talk about making work fun today with Adham. And this interview is brought to you just for you to grow as a leader. Thanks for tuning in here to Grow Think Tank. Really excited about sharing this with you. And before you run, I have done so many interviews in the last few weeks. I have such an exciting time to share with you that those interviews have been organized into the 12 core principles of fast growth companies. So all you have to do to get that is go to genehammett.com/worksheet. So you can get the 12 principles, and I've been able to go in there and find which episodes will align to each individual episode. When you subscribe to Grow Think Tank, you will find exactly what you need so that you can move forward. And many of them haven't been published yet, depending on when you're hearing this, but you can tune in to the date that means the most to you. Tom, how are you?
I'm doing well, Gene. How's it going today?
Well, I'm excited to have you here. That's how well it is. We're going to be talking about, creating a fun place to work. But I wanted our audience to get a little bit of idea of what you do as the CEO and founder of EMG. Tell us kind of who you serve and give us some context to the business.
Absolutely. So EMG, founded in 2012, we've been around for about 7 years. We are a Department of Defense contractor. We handle mission critical solutions to the federal government, everything from IT down the gamut to your logisticals services, from vehicles, moving personnel, lodging, firearms, ammunition, explosives, basically everything that you can imagine. As a small business, we've grown tremendously in the past few years, and our core focus, 99.9% of our business revolves around the federal government.
Well, you have a really interesting kind of workplace. It's a very serious job of moving stuff around, especially for the military, but you also believe that we should create a fun workplace. But where did that come from?
So it honestly came out of college. I went to George Mason University and graduated from there. And as I was growing through the social aspects of the school, co-working spaces were a big thing back then. This is before WeWork became, the big thing. And I always wanted, when I was in college, to create a lively environment where team members can come in and really not just work, but hang out, have a good time, even when they're off the clock, somewhere where they wanted to come and spend time to get away from, daily stresses that they might be feeling at home with their family, with their loved ones, whatever it may be, or even bring their kids and their puppies into the office so they could, come here and have a sense of joy being at this location. So I wanted to build that atmosphere from day one. And in day one, we actually started, it's a funny story, in our parents' basement, which was an open basement with a theater, a game room, a gym, pool access, and an open space where you could work. And that's how we started. That was the heydays between 2012 and 2013 and a half. And then we transitioned into a bigger office space.
Well, before we dive into how you create a fun workplace, we already know that you were, grew phenomenally fast, like number 42 on the Inc. list in 2018. Revenues continue to grow from there. You were over 6,000% over the last 3 years. That level of growth is impressive, but is that what you would, kind of factor back to a big part of why you're growing so fast?
Absolutely. I mean, I think our growth is attributed not to one person or one mentality or one protocol. It's attributed to the team that we have. It's the people that we have. Most of the employees and team members that we have in our company have been with us for years, multiple years. Some of them straight out of college, some of them, a little later on, junior level people that have been looking for positions in a work environment like this. And again, our success is attributed 100% to our personnel, who understand that we have a very important mission to accomplish, while also understanding that this is more than just a company, a firm that you go to and work. It's all about, the social atmosphere, about the team having fun together, working together. I mean, I have examples from just this past weekend. Our whole team was out at a nice Saturday event, and unfortunately I couldn't join because I had other obligations, but it's great to hear that everyone had such a good time, and that they bond so well. So that's very important to me. I think that attributes to a lot of the success on the work side of things, especially when it gets stressful, when we have mission critical solutions that needs to be done within a 24-hour span. We get those a lot. The team really comes together, focuses, and gets the job accomplished.
How many employees do you have?
So currently we're at 10 employees here at this office. And then, of course, we have our accountants, our legal people that handle all of our different avenues, from federal to civil to business litigation and law overview.
When you think about creating a fun workplace, what was the first thing that you did? Maybe when you got out of the basement, but when you said, okay, we're going to move to this new place, what was one of the first things that you could share with us?
I think the social aspect of the openness. It's very important. What I noticed is a lot of companies have cubicles, they have offices, and some even have the remote aspect, which I don't really agree with those approaches to a certain extent due to communication. Communication is so critical to the success of a company that having an open workspace where our accounting department can literally just look across the other side of the room and talk to our sales department about any questions that may arise with our vendor, with our customer, because things get very complicated, especially with big contracts. And after 700 contracts that we've acquired, it gets very, very intricate, we'll put it that way. So I think the openness of the workspace is super important for the communication, but also having aspects like, for example, a gym available for their own health aspects. I encourage our employees to, go get on the treadmill, take that conference call. Sorry about that. Calls keep coming in. To go take that conference call on treadmill to, really invest into their health. And if they needed some time off or need to just re-energize their brain, we have a relaxation room with bean bags and all that. And, they can go in there and take their time in there.
Are they using the relaxation room?
Actually, funny enough, not as often as you think. So they took the beanbag out of the relaxation room into the open social area. So if they need to relax, they actually like to just sit down, relax on the beanbag, and interact with the team, which is great. Because again, to me, it shows that they can be serious, they can be focused, but at the same time, they can kind of sit back, sit down and relax, and they want to do it with the team. And I'm all for it. I'm all about the team mentality.
Well, I think all of us leaders value team and all of this, and we know that we need to kind of come together at certain times. You do a lot of social events. So what is a lot to you?
In regards to social events?
Yep.
Yep. So we do quarterly outings. For example, every quarter I want to make sure that we reinvest back into the team and we do something together. So for example, our most recent outing was the Georgetown, they call it the brunch booze cruise, which we all got together on Cinco de Mayo. It's company funded. We go there on the riverboat in the Potomac, and we all have brunch and we have drinks, and they invite their plus ones, and it's a good way to really reconnect and get to know the team members, especially when we're bringing in new personnel. As of this week, we have 3 new people coming on board, so we're going to go from 10 to 13 by the end of this week. So it's very important that this next quarterly outing that we do is something like that. Another example is we've done beach trips. We've done team building outings on weekends at the West Virginia cabins with zip lining and all sorts of stuff. We've done, Top Golf trips. We've done escape rooms where kind of you get more comfortable with your team members outside the office setting. So that I think is very important. I don't think it's detrimental to the point where if we didn't have it, they would leave the company. But I believe it does build a stronger relationship with the team.
Do you have a team of people that organize this, or is this something that comes through your office, or how do you organize? How do you decide where you're going to go and what's going on?
No, that's actually a great question. So how I like to do it is I like the team mentality. I want people to have input into it. So I actually assign the whole team. I tell them, hey, this quarter, give me a list of ideas. It goes through them. Then my executive assistant, she puts together some, options, some dates that align, and then we just work together. And once we take a more or less vote on what the next outing should be, and everything looks fine on the dates, we try to get a schedule, as long as, we try to accommodate for everybody. Personal schedules are kind of difficult sometimes, so you have to balance it. Some people have children on weekends that, they have to look after. They can't, just leave them, and they can't always bring them to some of these events. But that's basically how we do it, through a team consensus.
Let's pause here for a second. Team collaboration. Why is that so important to your organization? Well, you probably already know why it's important, because you think about ways to get people to share knowledge with each other. A lot of companies struggle as they get bigger because people that are have all the knowledge may end up leaving to move to a new role, or they may leave to a new location, or they may leave the company altogether. And that really does put them in a jeopardy. But when you have a culture of collaboration, you have something special, because not any one person has all of this knowledge. You may have people that have special talents, and that's great, but you have more sharing going on across this. And 1 + 1 = 3 when you have the right people collaborating in the right way. So I share this with you because I work with teams all the time and founders to help them create that kind of aspect inside their culture. So if you have any questions, make sure you reach out to me. Now back to the interview. Well, I really appreciate that you're not just sitting back and going, oh, this is what I want to do, and we're gonna do that. When you think about some of the mistakes that you've made in this journey, what comes to mind as far as maybe focusing on having a lot of more fun than most organizations are used to having?
I'm trying to think. Well, I don't really dwell on mistakes, and if there is something, I take it as a learning lesson, right? I learn from, hey, this didn't go as smoothly as we wanted, let's adjust accordingly. When it comes to the fun aspect, I don't really have any regrets or mistakes per se. I see some of what my colleagues are doing, some other CEOs who are part of bigger companies, companies like Leidos and Northrop Grumman, some of these big primes. And I kind of take notes. I like to take notes. And I had a buddy, he's the CEO of a big company. They do, I think, over 160 million a year. He took his teammates and his departments out to one of those plane festivals where they literally get in the cockpit of a plane and they do the Red Bull challenge, and it's going all over the place. Some people are like dizzy and puking and everything. So, I take notes like that. I definitely, one thing I do want to do is maybe incorporate more social investment into our community. That's the one thing I think with our next company outings that I want to talk to the team about, because I think it's important to reinvest time into the community and help out, especially when the weather's nice like this in Virginia and Washington. You really want to be outside, kind of giving back to the community as much as we can.
I think that's the other side of this. Fun doesn't have to be booze cruise, right? It could be,
Right.
We're going to get together with this charity and do some work as a team. And
Absolutely.
that can be just as rewarding, if not even more rewarding for some people, because they're really looking for a chance to give back, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And we have, so as you know, EMG is our core company. I own a few other subsidiaries, and we have a subsidiary company called Autotron, and we just did an event with them actually a month ago for the Ovarian Cancer Society. One of our good partners, the Hertz Corporation, the rental car company, they're a big participant in it. So we, obviously went out there, donated, and participated as much as we could. But next time around, I definitely want a more hands-on involvement for more of the team that we can, help out in that sense. So I agree with you. It can be rewarding in other matters as well.
Did there something happen in your previous work where it maybe not as a fun environment and you just weren't giving as much as you could have given to the organization? So when you started the company, you said, I want to create something different, unique. I'm just curious about that.
Yeah. To be quite frank with you, I never had a per se office sit down experience. When I was in high school, I interned for a big lobbyist firm, and that was, I guess, my first glimpse of the corporate life and the cubicles and all that. And yeah, that really did open my eyes. And the one thing I wanted to do is I wanted to create this environment. And it took years. I'll be honest with you. When I first proposed some of these ideas to even my entrepreneurship class at George Mason University, people weren't 100% on it. I even proposed to utilize some of the unused space at the campus for a co-working space that could bring like-minded individuals into this hub. And then, like I said, WeWork, everything else is history. I mean, they've expanded and blown up and made it into a huge business model, but we were doing this before WeWork was even around, before it was even created. So, I decided, what, it's not going to be our prime business model, but the least I can do is create it within the world that we live in, because we spend the majority of our time at work. If I dread coming into work and my employees dread coming into work, what's the point of that? It's not fun. It's not worth it for anybody. And as I mentioned before, one of the greatest things that I've heard from our team members is when they go on vacation for a week or two and they come back and they'll literally tell me, I am so glad to be back at work. That to me is just, that makes me happy. I'll be honest with you. So
that's a pretty big honor to have someone go on vacation and be so thrilled to come back to work because of the fun environment. When you hear this over and over and over, I mean, it's got to light you up as a leader.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it really makes me happy because, again, at the end of the day, I'm all about the team. I'm all about everyone's success. And if one person succeeds on our team, everyone else succeeds. The sales department does well, the accounting department does good. It's kind of a chain effect. And, that mentality of them wanting to come back to work off of vacation, I feel like that as well is kind of a chain mentality. They enjoy coming to work, seeing their colleagues and their affiliates accordingly, because there has to be a good balance to everything, in my opinion. Everything should be a good balance. Too much work is not good. Too much fun is not good. But a good balance in the middle there is exactly what drives success.
I am curious, beyond the quarterly events, are you doing anything week to week or day to day within the office that makes it fun?
Well, I definitely engage a lot. I engage with our employees. I don't come in here and just start shooting out questions or demanding things. That's not the way I operate. I start with, just checking up on everybody, making sure everyone's okay, seeing how everyone's weekend was, seeing how we're looking on this week. Does anyone have anything coming up? And then we take it from there, kind of on a weekly basis, like a weekly recap or a rundown prior to the start. And then as we just go through the week. We talk. We try to make it interesting. Sometimes we'll just say, spontaneously, the weather's great outside. Let's all go outside for a quick walk for about 20 minutes just to refresh our legs. Because, sometimes you just got to get out of the office. And we don't get enough good weather here in Virginia, especially during the winters. It's really rough. So anytime we can take advantage of that.
Tom, are you doing anything in meetings that make them fun as well?
In meetings, well, see, yeah, with meetings, in our level of meetings, we have to be a little more serious. We definitely can't pop a bottle of champagne, for example, or something like that in a meeting. But internal meetings, yes, of course. Internal meetings, we make it fun. We have a little trivia. We bring donuts in every other week or so, and kind of when we have the recap, so that everyone just has a good time with meetings. But when it's external meetings with, whoever may be a contracting officer or a lieutenant or a sergeant, we have to maintain our facade.
I totally get it. When customers are around, it may be a little bit different atmosphere. I was reading about some of the stuff that they do at Apple and Google. There's some really specific details around how they start meetings, and what they don't want to do is for everyone to be on the phone, kind of checking emails and whatnot. They actually want people to be having a conversation, and they prefer to be talking about the personal elements of, what'd you do this weekend, or what are you planning to go for vacation, or anything personal about kids. And that keeps it a little bit more of a caring atmosphere. Right. Just looking for something that you might be doing along those lines.
Oh yeah, absolutely. One of my biggest pet peeves is the telephone aspect, right? We're also connected to the phone, to the computer. I mean, we're on this thing. If you saw my setup right now, I've got 3 monitors and I've got the main core laptop, and I'm always on my phone with emails. And when I'm driving, I'm on phone calls. So when we have that moment, when we all sit down, I really ask everyone to put their phones away. I don't want to see people texting. I don't want to see people taking care of emails. And I request that when we have internal recaps or meetings or rundowns, that put everything away, put it on hold for 15 to 20 minutes, and let's catch up. Let's see how things are going. What are we planning for this week? What do we have for the next month? And then we'll discuss things, like the company outing. If there's something else that one of the departments need, we'll discuss that. We always think of ways to optimize. The one thing that I really like about our internal meetings, it's almost like a think tank. Everybody has an input. And the thing is, I think that the best way to really analyze and take the right course is when everyone has an opinion, an idea, and you really you obviously can't implement every idea and aspect that every employee wants in these meetings. But what they do is they bring ideas to the table and you evaluate, and you kind of go through it, filter through what the good parts are and what can be optimized. And that's how we've been able to succeed as well, as through optimization by our employees and team members telling us, hey, listen, why don't we do this differently? What do you think? And then we'll analyze. And if it works on all departments, if we can test it out and it's proven, then we full scale run it as a protocol.
Well, I didn't pay you to say that, but that's one reason why I created the name of this to be the growth think tank. To have people like you share their ideas, have others listening in and deciding what's right for them to execute on, and to create some unique experiences where leaders like yourself get together and share those ideas in what I call the growth think tank. So, Tom, I really appreciate you being here to talk about not only the growth of your company, but like some of the core principles of growth, creating a great place to work and creating unique experiences that make people want to come back from vacation and say they were glad to be back at work. So thanks for being here.
Absolutely. Thank you, Gene. Appreciate your time today.
Fantastic interview. I really love some of the details that Tom shared about, making work fun and why it matters and what you can do to improve your working relationship across your team. You don't have to have all of the fun things at work, but it does help in some senses. But what really helps is creating experiences outside the work environment so people can bond together. And this is all about how you can do that. So hopefully you enjoyed this episode. Hopefully you enjoyed all of the episodes here at Growth Think Tank. I really appreciate you tuning in. I appreciate you sharing this with someone that you feel like would be great to our community. So if you have anyone that comes to mind when you think about these shows, make sure you don't hesitate, because we're not asking for you to spend any money. We're not asking for you to listen to our sponsorship ads. But we are asking that you let this podcast grow naturally through you talking about it with others. Well, as always, lead with courage. We'll see you next time.